Hey guys, welcome to Turn 2. It is a new year. It is a new year of Turn 2, but it is the end of Season 1. That's what we're going to be talking about today, and we have two great guests with us today, as well as our wonderful co-host as well. I guess I'm speaking like the third person now, but I'm Doa. That is Artosis, my co-host. How's it going, man?
It was going okay, and then a warlock just got me just a couple
I
minutes
saw
ago.
that last game.
Two blood imps is like really good, so I don't know. But it's still going okay. I'm not in a terrible mood.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, Savjz, what's up, man? You were bouncing around near the top of the Hearthstone ladder on NA and EU.
Yeah, I had yesterday or 2 days ago. I was rank 2 on the legend thing on both servers, and there was only Strifecrow ahead of me on NA and Dark Unox. I don't know how to spell it on EU, but then something terrible happened. And now on EU, I'm like 125.
It falls so fast, man. You jump ranks so quickly,
Yeah.
and fall ranks so quickly in this game.
Yeah, it hurts.
All right, well, Gnimsh, our final guest on the show. How's it going, man?
Yeah, what's up? It's going good. It's going good. So, yeah, the ladder closes today, and we start a new grind tomorrow. So I'm so pumped up to do this.
I'm excited about that. So let's, you and I were talking about this a little bit already, Gnimsh. But let's talk about. I think I mentioned this to Savjz too before the show started. But let's just go over right away. What are the decks that we're all going to be using, like right off the bat, to just grind ladder games, go from 25 on? I think a lot of people are going to say the same thing. I'm going to say the Strifecrow Druid deck right now. I think it's so solid, so consistent. What do you guys think? I'll toss it over to Artosis first because I already know what the guests are going to say. So,
Well, I mean, that deck and Warlock and Mage are all pretty reasonable, because with Warlock and Mage, you get a lot of games in really quickly. So you can grind up the ladder pretty quickly with those as well. So
very true.
The Druid deck is going to take longer, and if you're not good at it, you'll get some losses, which will slow you down. But you don't even need to know how to play Hearthstone. The Warlock deck can get you at least like rank 5.
That's very true. So, Savjz, what will you be playing?
What will I be playing? I think I will be playing Rogue and Mage, but I think many people will be playing Warlock aggro because it finishes games fast and it's really efficient and like also kind of easy to play in my opinion. But I'm not gonna I might touch that shit, but I'm not gonna be playing it much. I think I'm more into like Rogue and Mage.
Gnimsh?
Well, it actually, you probably think I will just answer Strifecrow Druid and that's it, but that's actually not the case because it will really depend on what people play, and I will be playing a counter deck. So if people play Aggro Warlock because it's super fast and they will try to level, I will play Strifecrow Druid because it counters the aggro. If they somehow switch to Warlock control, then I will probably use the Savjz's Mage build, which counters that. So I would just search for the best deck to counter what people play to get the stars as fast as possible, obviously.
I think we are going to see mostly Warlock and stuff like that. It's generally what it's been for people who want to try to just get wins as quick as possible. So I think that's a big reason for me too, going with the Druid deck as well. But we'll see. I enjoy playing like aggro Warlock, not Murloc, never Murloc, but aggro Warlock is still.
I know the
Murloc's
Murlocs
good,
are so good. Come on.
I just don't like it, man. I didn't like him in the MMO, and I don't like him in Hearthstone either. I'm not saying they're bad. I just will not play that.
Okay, so you either hate them or love them, right? The Murlocs.
I hate them. It's true. It is love-hate with Murlocs.
I just purely hate them, but they're
right,
ridiculous.
good.
If you draw both your war leaders, it's so funny. It's like it doesn't matter how much removal they have, you just keep going.
Pretty
I
much,
guess I
yeah.
love them then.
No, I hate them because I always
Well, I love
on
them
the
personally.
other side of double war leader.
They are so
Hate
cool.
the
When
respect,
does the ladder
that's it.
actually? When does the ladder reset? Like, is that
Well, there's
actually just
downtime. There's downtime that's announced. It's in the client, like when the servers are going down. So I think it's probably going to be after that. I'm sure it's going to be. So what is
When
it?
the servers come back up, then the ladder will be reset.
Yeah, let me look at the. Let me open the client real quick. It's 10 a.m. PST is when they're going to be doing the
10 a.m.
maintenance.
PST?
Looks
on
like
what
it's now.
day or something. I don't even like
Today.
January 2nd at 10 a.m. So it's January 2nd
Yeah.
right now here.
Let's see. So 10 a.m. PST. That is.
That's any time
going to
now,
be-
right?
That's 3 a.m. Korean time. So that's in approximately 4 hours from now.
So
for
I'll wake
us.
up to a new season.
Yes, that's right. Yep, a new season of grinding. It's gonna be great.
Can't wait.
Right.
It's gonna be so much fun.
It will be fun. I'm actually looking forward to it quite a bit. So, so we're at the end of the season. So I mean, let's talk about that a little bit. You know, what decks kind of well, let's do this. Let's see if we can maybe come to a consensus on what we think the let's go with the top 3 decks of the first beta preseason. Top 3 decks. I'll just have you guys name. We'll just go through and get your opinions. We'll see if we can come to some sort of consensus on this. So, Savjz, you were probably a little bit higher ranked than the rest of us here. A little bit. So what would you say? What are your top 3 decks?
Like right now or overall during the season? You mean like right now?
Oh, right now. Like at the end of the season, yeah. Like
probably mage and druid, and then either rogue or warlock.
But I think like the most popular or the strongest ones?
strongest. Because most popular is just what you see the most. Like, what do you think are the 3 best? It's not a very difficult
I think the
question.
strongest 3 right now are probably Mage, Warlock, Druid. But I think overall for the season, I'd replace the Mage with Rogue for like top 3 decks of the season. Like, Rogue was really strong this season, but I feel like Mage has kind of reclaimed itself up at the top.
Well, I think with Mage, the thing with Mage is that not everyone is playing an optimal build. Like, people are playing those bursty mages with Icelands and stuff, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work. So I was testing that Mage as well before, and I didn't have much success. Only when I actually took the Savjz build, which is a bit different, I started to climb up the ladder, and it worked. So the Mage has a lot of viable builds. Some of them just do not work, and there are some builds that are really good. So that's for sure.
All right. Cool. Well, let's see. Sorry, I was doing something in the background, so I actually completely missed.
Yeah, no worries.
what-
I guess we haven't finished. Like,
Yeah.
I agree that Mage is one of the strongest decks right now if you build it correctly. Druid has a lot of builds as well, because you can play the Strife Crew Druid with Pyromancers, or the build with Ancient Watchers, or people play different builds still. Like, they try to counter Warlock Aggression, they try to counter the Mirror Match, and then there is obviously Warlock, Aggro Warlock, Murloc Warlock, and Control Warlock. So there's, like, Warlock right now has this surprise factor that Mage had before the nerf. So when you were facing Mage, you never knew if this is a control deck, like a Frozen Giants, or an aggro deck. And now Warlock has it as well, because, like, if you play against it, you don't know. You just don't know. You have to mulligan for the aggro, because,
I've had that problem a lot, because there's a lot of like control Warlock out, but there's still more aggro, so you have to like mulligan into like just removal shit, and then they on turn 2 they don't play turn 1. You're like, oh no, and turn 2 they draw a card, and you're like, oh shit, turn 4 is gonna be a bitch.
So now, I wanted to go back a little bit and talk about the 2 variations of that Druid deck. There's a Pyromancer one, like you said, and then there's the Ancient Watcher one as well. And I personally kind of prefer the Pyromancer one. I'm a little bit lower rank, obviously, than the rest of you guys, and so I'm still seeing a lot of the Murlocs, a lot of the like hyper aggro stuff, and Pyromancer tends to be a little bit more useful for me. But towards the top of the ladder, do you think Ancient Watcher has a little bit more of an edge, or what do you prefer? Do you think one's a little bit better up at the top?
Well, personally, if I can take it, I think Pyromancer is better at the top, because I was playing Ancient Watcher a bit, and I got a 50% results out of it. So, well, Ancient Watcher is okay if you get it out early, and if you can like support the strategy and give it taunt, or just silence it. But then, like, while playing Druid, I really don't want to waste my silences on Ancient Watchers. So it was running okay, but it was a bit too slow, and if you get Ancient Watchers and if you don't get the taunts, it's just a dead card. So that's the problem.
Yeah.
With the Pyromancer, you always can use Pyromancer. You have a lot of spells. Even if you don't have the spells, he's always a free 2 blank that you can just use to attack and kill something. And when I was playing a lot of mirror matches, when I was playing the Druid with Pyromancers, and it counters the Ancient Watchers. Like, I didn't have any problems with killing the Ancient Watchers, because the deck is has a lot of aggression. Then you can pump a lot of damage out of those Pyromancers. Like, if you deal 2 damage to the board out of a single Pyromancer, it's huge. If you can get even more because you just buffed it with the Defender of Argus, it's even better. So And when I was playing the Ancient Watchers as well, I was losing to aggro sometimes because I wasn't able to set up the combo as fast as possible. And it also is a reactive deck. So they play minions, and you play something that doesn't kill the minions, so they still have an option to actually deal with what you have, like with the Black Knight or just Soulfire. And with Pyromancer, you're not reacting, you're just doing stuff. So you just play Pyromancer and clear the board, and they are empty. They have to play something new. So this is why I think the Pyromancer is better, and yeah, and people start to play it as well. Like this deck was posted on Reddit, and like not everybody actually reads Reddit at this time, but it will get more and more popular.
All right.
I think the Wild Pyromancer is only like superior to the Ancient Watcher against Warlock, because against Warlock clearing the board is so important and stuff. But I have to say that I'm actually not a big fan of Wild Pyromancer, and I know I'm in the minority here, and many people probably like it a lot and think that it's so good against aggro and all that. But like every time someone plays it against me, I just count the cards they spent like to clear the board. They play Wild Pyro, then maybe Innervate into Wrath or something. That's 3 cards. And it's like, I always count that, and it's like 2 for 2, 3 for 3. It doesn't seem to give that big of an advantage after all. Like, I'm not a big fan, and if you play like against Control, Wild Pyro is just a 3-2, and you don't want that. But I know the deck is having a lot of success, so I can't be too harsh about it. And I know it works, but just not my style. So I don't play Wild Pyros right now, at least.
All right.
Yeah, I actually like, for the Druid decks, I like the Watcher version better, but you can just, if you don't get the right draw, you just fucking die. Like, you have a Watcher and nothing that gives taunt. You're like, all right, I guess that's it. Whereas if you draw Pyromancer, he's useful at least.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I feel like a lot of that Pyromancer stuff started with Paladin decks, people running that with equality. I know that's the first time I saw it, like, fairly regularly anyway. And that's probably, at the end of the day, kind of the most efficient way to clear the board with Wild Pyromancer. Obviously, it hurts yourself, too, as well. You don't want to do it when you have a lot of stuff out there, too. But talking about, like, the efficiency with Wild Pyromancer, it's kind of funny to me that the most efficient way ended up kind of being in a deck where people didn't really end up using it for too long. It kind of migrated over to Druid after a little while, and now you see pop up in a few other decks here and there, too. But
yeah, it's interesting how it shifted, because like in the Paladin, it was essentially a board wipe for 4 mana.
Yeah.
So you play Pyromancer equality, and that's it. Like the board is clear. And in Druid, you can use it as an answer to some cards like Harvest Golem. So for example, if they have Harvest Golem and you have Pyromancer, you can Wrath it, and then you kill the Harvest Golem, and then the Pyromancer triggers and kills the token. So this is a very good answer to Harvest Golem. And some other cards as well, like obviously the Blood Imps, you want to counter the Blood Imps. I was having a lot of success with Pyromancer against mages as well, to just get rid of the clones they put, so they can get to their minions, which are protected by the Taunters. And against Rogue as well, to just put that extra damage and kill the minions. So yeah, it's a pretty good card.
Gnimsh, you do know that when you Wild Pyro into equality against Blood Imp, actually only the Blood Imp dies.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Against that's right. If you play equality and Pyromancer that way, yeah. So in Druid, it's better because you have.
Yeah.
One thing I do have to say, I've been playing with Pyromancer like all day long with that Warrior OTK deck, and he's so good at popping Divine Shields. I really appreciate him for that. That's like, so many times like he wasn't going to be that useful, and I'd play him to pop a couple Divine Shields and just like kind of math it out. And I don't know, he's a fun card and stuff, but Savjz is right where you don't actually gain card advantage with him. He basically has you go equal, because the Pyromancer doesn't live. Let's just get that out of the way. The Pyromancer, the turn after you play him, is dead. Like, he goes down to a 3-1 and then they kill him, like every single time. I've never had him live to the next turn.
It's pretty rare.
It's pretty rare.
I like being able to pair it with things like Swipe as well, too, because it gives you a lot more opportunities when you're playing with that card to put 4 damage right on the hero and then count on, 2 damage across the board, from Swipe and then from Wild Pyromancer, too. So I feel like
he's a lot like
especially made for
spell
Druid.
damage or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to think of it, actually, is kind of like another version of +1 spell damage a little bit as well.
Yeah.
All right, I like
Yeah,
that.
and he's like still a free one when
Yeah.
he triggers, so you can
It's
just
something
keep
they
him.
need to deal with, I guess, which is
Yeah.
kind of nice too. I mean, he does die, like Artosis said, but at least it's something that they need to do something. You know, he's not just going to go by himself, usually. So,
Yeah.
but getting back to kind of the topic at hand, we've kind of got sidetracked a little bit. But the top 3 decks, I think we could say Rogue, you know, and its few variations, the Strife Crow Druid deck, or maybe just, you know, Druid control in general. And then, you know, would you say maybe Aggro Mage for the third one? Can we just put that one
Yeah.
up there? It
Yeah.
does leave out Warlock, but I feel like
think we
I feel
can
like
leave
Mage
out
should be
the
a little bit
Warlock.
ahead of Warlock. Yeah,
I think
agree.
we can leave out the Warlock because the Warlock is a bit of coin flippy a deck.
Yeah.
Because if
Yeah.
you're playing mirror matches, it's like a 50-50 deck a lot of time.
Yeah, I agree on that.
And the decks we've mentioned are you can get better percentage out of them, like 60 plus. So
Yeah, I feel like you
Yeah.
said, Warlock is more coin flippy. Whereas if you go Druid or like Mage or something like that, there's more player skill involved, I think, in those mirrors than Warlock, just because
Certainly.
your first few turns aren't quite as vital. Yeah.
I think Druid is the least involved in the rock paper scissors thing. Like,
Mhm.
I feel that Druid has no hard counter, and on the other hand, it doesn't really. Well, it does kind of counter Mage because of like the heals and stuff. Which like when I play Mage against Druid, Pyroblast is usually just a removal for Ancient of War or something. You don't actually pyro to face in that matchup.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
it's kind of weird. But the way I play Mage, I think it's doable. Like, you can beat Druid, but like, yeah, Druid is like overall so solid. I think, even as Mage, no matter what, I think that Mages might be either the best or the second best. But it does have some like counters, and not all the matchups are all that good. For example, the Warlock. Like, if you have a bad start and you're going second, yeah, you lose the game against aggressive Warlock because I don't run any AOE at all.
Yeah, I know a lot of people took out even that one Shadow Flame. Got a lot of people running for a while in the Warlock aggro, but now it is pretty much AOE-less in a lot of cases. And so, I'd say moving on, I'm excited about this next topic, actually. It's one that I've seen a conversation between Savjz and Gnimsh about this very thing. Somebody's typing aggressively right now. I think it's Gnimsh. Very loud fingers.
yeah, sorry for that.
Oh, that's fine. But so let's talk about the coin, guys. This is a topic every week, and I know the chat's been like, oh, the coin again, but I think this week it's gonna be fun. Now I'm gonna say my opinion on the coin first, then we'll kind of go from there. I feel like do you want the coin, yes or no? The answer is dependent on the deck you are playing. I feel like in a lot of cases, if I'm going like aggro Warlock, I prefer to go first because I like to have one of my 1-drops down, you know, very early on. Coin is good there too, but I like to be able to get something down immediately. Whereas with, you know, something like Druid, I prefer to coin. So I think it's deck dependent. But now we have two very different opinions between Savjz and Gnimsh here. Savjz, you say that you'd never want to get the coin, you never want to go second. And Gnimsh, you say that things are actually pretty good if you're going second. That's actually a big edge a lot of times.
Yeah, totally.
So I don't know who to start with, and I feel like before we kind of let you two like kind of go at it, we should get Artosis' opinion in here too, and then just see what happens after that. So real quick,
I stand
Artosis,
by the fact the fucking coin should not be a spell. It's so
well, that's a
dumb.
given. That's,
Shouldn't be a
that's given.
spell. I
We all
don't
know
get
that.
it. I'm so sick of people coining out like SI7. I don't even play minions in the first couple turns against Rogue. I'm just done with it. All right, and it shouldn't be a spell. But actually, recently I've been liking going first more and more and more. Just as decks like, I don't know, as the game gets more figured out, I like going first more. But the coin shouldn't be a spell, and it probably shouldn't be a card in hand either. So that's.
I guess
I agree on
I've been
that one,
saying
anyway.
that since like the day the game came out. I don't get it why it's a spell. Like,
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm abusing it too. I'm like throwing it down with my gadgets on all the time. It's amazing. It's stupid.
Blizzard's reason has always been for simplicity's sake. They say that if it becomes like an extra button on your side of the board or something, it becomes too confusing for new players and things like
Just
that.
have it be like a weapon or I don't know, like a minion.
I don't know either.
Point is a minion or so. I don't. I think it's simple to make it not a spell, but whatever the reason is, it shouldn't be a spell. But
all right.
I'm sure it would be confusing, like if it's not a spell, because like all the non-minion cards are spells. So
no, the weapons aren't spells.
the weapons. Okay, the weapons. So you want to make a coin a weapon?
Yes.
It is one of the greatest weapons. All right.
So I
the-
think like Savjz can
yes.
start here. Why
Destroy
is
or how with the coin.
yeah, like
The case
explain
for
to us
turn
why do
one.
you think that going first is better than going second?
I don't know how to like exactly explain it the best way, but I'll just go like a couple of different approaches. So anyway, like I've been now with this new season, it has gotten kind of easy to get good opponents easily. Like 24/7, you can queue into someone who's decent at least. And like I play a lot and stuff. So like this like past month, I've just started to like going first more and more and more and more. And actually, like I feel like I've gotten better at like breaking down the early game, kind of play by play and turn by turn. And I think it's absolutely huge for the first 4 turns and kind of how the board gets snowballing to actually go first. And like whenever you lose going second, your opponent actually played 1 more turn. And like yeah, I don't know like for those who are don't know what exactly I'm saying, I promise I will explain it on stream. I will point it out when I go first and what happens each turn. I will point it out like this happens now I can't cast this, now I can cast this. Look what he has, look what I have. I promise I will like explain it later.
Well, I agree with that point because like in certain matchups and certain decks, and also coming back from WoW TCG, when you're going first, in theory, if you're starting aggression first, you win first because you deal that last 2 points of damage or that 10 points of damage with your Pyroblast first, and then your opponent can say only, oh, if I only had like 1 more 10, I would win that. But it's not true because like you started, so you win first. But in some matchups, like I think in most matchups I've played, because we play some different decks with Savjz. Like he's more focused on Rogue and Mage, and I'm more like I was playing more Warlock and on Druid. So in the matchups I've played, I always like to have the coin because well, the coin is an extra. I count it as an extra card, and I use it to accelerate some of the plays I have. Like in the Warlock mirror, I try to always have Soulfire. So my opponent starts a turn, he plays 1 minion. I have a coin, so I play 2 minions, and then I Soulfire his minion. So I have two things on board, and if he has a Soulfire, he has 2 targets that he has to destroy. So in the Warlock, a coin was good. In Druid matchup, well, I often start with Innervate and Harvest Golem. So like turn 1, and then turn 2 I can play Harvest Golem again if I had a coin. If I didn't have a coin, I can't. So like there are those different plays I can do with the coin, with acceleration. And also like if I get a coin, I'm more peaceful because my opponent will have to play like their mana curve is fixed. Like I know that they have just 1 mana on turn 1, 2 mana on turn 2, and 3 mana on turn 3. So I will expect what they will play each turn. If they have a coin, well, I can't expect it because like maybe if they play Harvest Golem on turn 3, they will be able to play a Druid of the Claw on turn 4 because they coin it. So it gives them this advantage of surprise and possibilities to play different cards in different moments. So I want to have that. I want to have that coin. That's why I think that the coin is going second is better still.
So you're saying that it's one of the things that makes the coin so good is that it makes it hard to read as far as like your opponent trying to figure out what you're going to do next. You know, the coin gives you that advantage of it's kind of an element of surprise that you don't have otherwise.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's totally right.
I think that when you're playing like against a druid or something, it's not that big of a deal. Well, it can be if one of the players is playing aggressive, then it is. But like the best 2 examples, like when going first is actually huge, is in my opinion when you play against aggressive warlock or mage. I think those are like the biggest ones because rogue is the third really good aggressive deck, but rogue has its own tricks with the coin. So as a rogue, I actually think it's pretty much 50-50. Like I don't mind going first or second. I think both is fine. But I'm not like oh my god, I want to have the coin. Even as a rogue, I think going first is pretty much equal to that. But like if I play mage and I'm playing against aggressive warlock, he goes turn 1 flaming. Okay, so I have 1 mana available to deal with his turn 1 play. I can coin Frostbolt and just 1 for 1 and lose the coin, or I can just let the board get stacking up. And it's like if I was the one going first, my turn 1 play would be like, okay, I'm at pass. Then he plays his turn 1 play, and I will have 2 mana to deal with his turn 1 play. And then next turn I will have 3 mana to deal with his 2 mana play. So like it's like you always have 1 more mana to deal with an answer whatever he just did. And I think it's absolutely huge. Like I really like, if I'm going second, I have such a hard time answering his plays as mage.
Maybe you should play Pyromancer in Mage. Then when you get a coin,
Mage.
like it gives you a spell that you can use and wipe the board.
No.
That value.
No way.
You have to try it.
I've
I'll
been
play
playing
Warlock
like
if you play Pyromancer.
It really works in Druid. Like when you get a coin and you have a Pyromancer, you're so happy because then you can play, like you can wipe the board. You have you can play the coin, you deal 1 damage to the board, and then you can play whatever spell you have to deal another damage to the board. So it
And
really
I'm
works.
a little bit surprised too, because I would think, especially being a big rogue player, that the coin gives you so many of these extra options with rogue specifically that wouldn't be there normally, just in terms of getting your combo out quicker. You don't think that's enough to prefer the coin?
No, I mean, I don't even play the scrubs. I haven't played the scrubs for like 2 months because the only situation where it's good to have it is on turn 1. I know I said this many times before, but like the only time you want to have Defias Ringleader in your hand is when you go second and you have it in your starting hand. But like even then, I consider it be better to just turn 2 coin into SI7. So the only card that actually like benefits from the coin, like seriously, is SI7, and I tend to find ways to combo it later. I just play Harvest Column on turn 3, and then like maybe turn 4 I play the SI Agent with maybe a weapon
Agent
from
Squire.
turn 2, and just like Agent Squire or Deadly Poison into SI7. Like that's one of the line of plays to just dagger up on turn 2, and then like turn 4 go for the deadly SI7, and you actually get the board pretty well there.
Okay.
But like,
All right.
so it's really like one card. I know it also starts the combo for Eviscerate, but like that's the only time, and I just prefer playing the Argent Squire on turn 1 and just go from there, like when going first.
No, this
Yeah,
is
I
a little
agree.
bit. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I agree. I mean, with Rogue, like you can get this snowballing thing that you play Argent Squire turn 1, and then you have a Novice turn 2, Harvest Golem turn 3. Also, you have the backstep to deal with what they play on their turn 2, or like, if they coin something turn 1. So you can snowball from them, and you have those free cards that serve as answers to what they have. So yeah, it seems like a very reasonable thought about it. So yeah.
All right. I've got something a little bit off topic, but I just want to touch on it real quick. Speaking about Rogue a little bit more, but I want to ask Savjz, how often do you find yourself putting Van Cleef in your Rogue decks lately? Because that's been such kind of like a card that's come and gone so often. It's like here and then it's not there. Like, what do you think? Where's Van Cleef at right now?
I'm not playing Van Cleef right now. I think there's so many silences with all the Ancient Watcher stuff, and so people run the Control Warlock also runs silences and all the Ancient Watcher stuff, and so many Druids with silences. So I don't think Van Cleef is worth it right now. But it's playable. It's playable. You might put it in your deck, and I wouldn't like say that you're bad. But I prefer having something else over it right now.
Yeah, it seems like we're kind of right on the edge as far as like silence in general goes in decks right now, where there was a couple weeks ago where a lot of silences were being run, and now it's kind of like trailed off a little bit to where it's there, but it's not there like every single game, it seems like. And I'm going to actually direct that over to Artosis because you haven't talked for a while. So what do you think? Let's change gears a little bit and talk a little bit about silence kind of in decks right now, because it has changed over the last few weeks. Like it was very prevalent, now not so much again.
Well, I don't know. I'm seeing a decent amount of silences. Like, I think the best versions of Control Warlock right now are playing Owls. I really like Owls in Control Warlock because, like, let's say you get the coin, right? Turn 2, you're attacking for 4 with your Watcher. It's pretty sick, and you know, of course, you still have the 2 silences in every single Druid deck. There's Druid of the Keeper of the Grove, whatever. I'm like Druid of the Claw. No,
it's not an elf.
So I mean, you're seeing a decent amount, but like I don't. We were running some in the Warlock deck, some Owls, trying Owls out, and I've seen like occasionally a Spellbreaker in there or something like that. But I don't think that Warlock needs it right now. I think at this point Warlock is so refined, like the really good Warlock decks, that there's only like 3 cards that you can mess around with right now or so, and I don't know. I don't think silences fit in that. I don't think that you need a silence in Rogue. I think that decks are so tight right now that everything's kind of figured out like what you need. Like with Rogue, you're gonna overpower with like your mana efficiency to bust through things, and then with Warlock, you're just too fast. And it's really just a few decks, like the control decks, that add a few silences, and the silences are in there because the cards that they're with are just too efficient, like the Keeper of the Grove or like Owls with Watchers in the deck. So I don't know. I think it's pretty straightforward where the silences lie, and that's like where they should be right now, because the decks are getting just so strong that you can't mess around and just put Spellbreakers in any deck anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, in conclusion, turn 1, turn 2. Like randomly bring it back to that one, I guess. But it's so I don't know. I feel like I've heard really strong arguments for both of those. You know, I really like what Gnimsh is saying, where it does give you that kind of element of surprise that you don't have, you know, if you're going to be going first. But then again, you know, obviously there's a lot of strengths to go first as well too. So this is going to be interesting one to watch develop too. And I'm sure this is one obviously that, you know, Blizzard is watching really closely too, because if there does, now they've got their statistics and everything like that they've collected, but you know, as we start to see, you know, more of these really top level decks come out and really high level games being played in various tournaments and things like that, we've got the ESGN thing coming up on when the 6th of January, right? That's when that's going to start airing? Yeah,
I believe so, unless something changed.
So that's going to be an interesting one to watch as far as like what decks are taking.
It's going to be awesome
and, like,
to watch.
Yeah, and you know, actually, curious about that. The decks that we're going to see in something like that, do you think they're going to seem very outdated? Like without you know, giving anything away. Like how much do you think the meta's really changed since then? I feel like it's been quite a bit. It's been like what 3-4 weeks or something like that, and that's a long time in the Hearthstone beta meta.
Dude, the meta changes every like during primetime hours on the North American server. If I'm playing like while people are awake and not just hitting a Maz all night, I watch the metagame shift over the course of hours. Like, there's different cards in decks over the course of hours where I'm like, oh shit, my deck is like 3 hours behind where this is at. It's actually the fastest, because in StarCraft 2, like at the peak of people playing StarCraft 2 when I was laddering all day, like every day or so I'd see the shifts in build orders. But in Hearthstone, it's like so quick because so many people are playing so many games so quickly because the games have a high turnover rate and stuff. So it's like insane watching this shift around. Like, you don't play for 2 days, man, your deck isn't going to win anything. It's you got to keep updating. It's crazy.
It's true. As someone who's been having to take days off here and there due to other games, you do fall way behind after just a couple days of not playing. It's kind of crazy. So that's just a situation where, for me anyway, I mean, I've just had to pay really close attention to like what I'm running into in my first 5 games and just kind of like suck up the losses and being like, all right, well, I guess I just have to change this. But it sucks. It's not easy to keep up with, for sure.
And it's actually amazing how the meta changes. So in Magic the Gathering Online, it's going fast, but like there's so many people, and it's mostly based on the tournament. So like there is a tournament, people win it, and then they take the winning deck. And in Hearthstone, it's like, I think it's because people have access to all the cards, most of the top level people, because like we only have the core set. So if they don't like something, like they can take another deck. So it's really easy to swap decks and you know, like try ideas and change the meta. So this is the metagame is right now is very dynamic, and it's super interesting because you have to work all the time. It's not getting boring. And we are not getting any new cards, but the metagame is changing all the time, so it's really fantastic.
Yeah, there's so many factors that kind of come into it too. You know, the whatever guides have been released, especially like if you see something that's like upvoted a lot on Reddit, you're gonna run into that a lot on the ladder for that day too. So it's very different from a lot of the other games, a lot of the other ladder-oriented video games that are out there, in that there's so many things like focusing in or kind of factoring into it that will change it on an hourly basis. So kind of crazy. But so let me ask this, and I mean, this is partially selfish too, because I don't have enough. I don't play as much as you guys. I don't have time to do that. So as someone who's constantly behind now, like, what can I do to sort of keep up? Like, what's the quickest way for me to avoid constantly having to take, as many losses as I usually have to, catching up every couple of days after I've had to take like a day or two off? Like, what do I do?
Watch my stream.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, watch
I know
the streams.
that's actually
that's
actually
not
what I've
that
been
far
doing,
off. Because you can
That's
actually.
one thing, yeah.
Thing is, you watch like 3 games on a stream, and you basically have the deck list within a couple cards, and you'll be able to see these little shifts if you know. Other than that, message us on Skype. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to say this more for like
But,
the people
no,
out there,
I-
like in chat and all that,
was-
because I think my situation is a lot more similar to what most people are going to go through. Where you've got like a job, other things distracting you, where you can't
Yeah.
play Hearthstone, all day, every day. Like, you guys have been able to do quite a bit lately, so you're going to need to find ways to catch up quick, and I think streams are a good way to do that. Maybe visiting a site like ihearthyou.com possibly
That's
would
right.
be helpful for something like that, but these are just things
you have to
I've
have
been
a
doing too,
network
but I
of
wanted to get your...
people
What's up?
on forums or on
Yeah.
Reddit or just some network of people that can help you be like, oh no, I'm seeing a lot of this. Put life gain back in your deck or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think like it's really important to visit the sites, watch the streams, but essentially you probably want to have a team of people, and when you aren't able to play, maybe they will play the game, so you come back from what you did and you ask people like, hi guys, what's going on? Like, what's the top deck right now? Like, what people are playing? What should they change in my deck? So this is the importance of having teams like we have here with Artosis and Savjz, the doggy house. So if somebody is like out for a couple of days, we just come back and ask the guys what's happening, like what's the best right now. So yeah, I think it's having the team and getting on the sites, watching the streams.
Mm-hmm. All right, very cool. So at this point, we've got about 20 minutes left or so in the show, and let's check out where we're at here. Because I wanted to talk about a little bit of balance stuff too, because again, we are going into that new season, and I didn't read that they were going to be making any balance changes in this update, right? It's just purely a new ladder season as far
Pretty
as what
sure.
I've heard, right? I think so.
Pretty
I don't
sure.
think they're going to tweak anything. But and we tend to talk about balance changes every week, and what we talk about tends to change a little bit. Blood Imp is always there, so we can probably kind of skip that one this time around, because obviously we were still looking for changes on that one. But is there anything since last week that's kind of come up as like a card that you think may need some looking at that you didn't really consider last time, and now it's like, maybe this actually does need some tweaking?
Pyroblast.
Yeah, well, Pyroblast is also kind
Pyroblast,
of old
yeah.
one. But I just have to add to that I'm really kind of shocked that it's still not at 9 mana. But I think
Yeah.
it's only a matter of time. Then it will be at the 9 on 10, I think.
I think 9 mana
but-
is perfectly
yeah,
fine for
but
Pyroblast.
9 mana would help so much. The turns where they cast like that and Frostbolt or something, like when you have to start doing that math, it's
Mhm.
God, it's so
Yeah.
much damage.
I have a
So
funny
anyways.
story about the nerfs.
Oh.
Because like I ventured on the Blizzard forums like 2 days ago to see if they
Brave
have
man.
the Polish Blizzard boards, and to just see what the community says and stuff. And one guy was stating that they really should nerf priests because those light walls, man, they are so broken.
Those light wells, dude, every once in a while they get like up to
How are you
32,
gonna get through
32,
Yeah.
I saw that YouTube video.
Pyroblast ain't
Nerf
shit against
please.
2 light wells, man. What are you gonna do?
That's right.
Totally.
They
Sorry,
should. What they
sorry, I
really
interrupted
should.
you.
They really should allow you to have 3 Pyroblasts in each deck, just because when you run into those 32 light wells, you're going to need at least 3 of them to handle it. So I think it's a pretty obvious change for Blizzard to make, definitely. Well, now we know
So-
what the... go.
Can I say the card that I've been just holding it here, like,
Yes.
which is like the most OP one, I think. So, Thinkmaster Overspark. I think that card is just ridiculous.
Hmm.
I think
You think
it
it's
belongs
good?
to every single...
All right.
It's way too good. I mean, you just... Against the aggressive deck, you just free roll for 5/5 on Novice Engineer or Shieldless Argent Squire. And against that control deck, if you get the 1/1, you instantly win the game. It's like coin flipping for the win. Like if he
Yeah.
plays like 7 mana
is, yeah.
creature and you get a 1/1, you also get to play other stuff. You win the game right away. So you have 50% chance to win the game when you use an opponent's big creature, And early on, like either on a squire without shield or a novice engineer, if you free roll a 5/5 with that, you also win the game. Like it's I think the card is absolutely ridiculous.
I think it's like kind of stupid because of how coin flippy it is in that regard.
Yeah.
Because if you do make the 1/1, it's insane. Like some games, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it. I'm like, I don't know. I guess it just comes down to this, and I play it. And if it's a 1/1, I'm like, cool, I win. And then sometimes it's a 5/5, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm fucked, and that's it. And that, which is stupid because you look at some of these other cards, and it's like Rag. It's like, well, Rag's always going to be a problem if he's out. He's an issue. Sometimes you'll get lucky and just win the game, but like, it's not so cut and dry like this guy, where you play him and sometimes it's just a win and sometimes it's just a loss.
Well, I think that the card is not OP as it is. Like the effect, you play the guy, it's the 2/2 for 3 mana, and you change something into a 1/1 or a 5/5. That's probably fine. The problem with the card is that it's totally it's very frustrating if it misses, or if it hits if your opponent plays it. So it creates a situation like it's very frustrating for one player or another, and in this coin flip manner. So on the high level of the legend play, like when you have the top level players like clashing, and you have this 50% chance, which is totally outside of the skill zone. Like, okay, I do a squirrel, I win, I get a raptor, I lose. That's it, 50%. Like this game comes to that change. So I flip a coin if I win or if I lose here. There is no skill involved. So
yeah,
I think that's the problem with the card. Like it's just unfun to play most of the times for one side or another.
I agree about the RNG being unfun, but also like usually I think when you play it, if you get the kind of the worse thing, which is 5/5 for your opponent or 1/1 for yourself, you can afford it, and you can still like do all right unless you are using it in a situation where you know that you have to risk giving him a 5/5 or so. But like you can choose when you play it, but it's like you're free rolling for the win, and if the worst case happens, you're still all right.
Yeah, sometimes it's, I actually agree. Like I was thinking about it when you were talking, so I didn't have like a statement before, but now when I think about it, it's like for 3 mana. For example, you have Savannahs, and for 3 mana, I like remove your Savannahs. You have a 1/1 which does nothing, and I still have a minion which is a 2/2.
Yep, it's game over right there.
Yeah, it's game over. Like it's just for 3 mana, so it might be an OP card when it hits.
And really. The worst case scenario, it's like it's silenced the Sylvanas. You know,
yeah.
That's a worst case for 3 mana for having a minion on board. That's similar to Keeper of the Grove.
Well,
you either silence it or win the game.
No.
I mean,
well, what it seems like too is I feel like we're seeing some similar things in Hearthstone to what happened in the very first set of Magic the Gathering, like way back when in like '93, I think it was 1993 when that came out, and you just have these cards that are just kind of crazy, and they're supposed to be fun and wild and all that, but when it comes to actually playing the game, they sort of end up being anti-fun, and Tinkmaster Overspark, Blizzard has talked, time and time again about how they want the game to be fun. They want to put like, this needs to be more fun, this needs to be more fun. And so they have, oh, look at this crazy thing. You either get a squirrel or a 5/5 dinosaur, and it sounds fun, but when you actually play it, it's not, because it's so random, and because it does kind of take away from the competitive aspect of things as well too. So I think this is kind of just something that we're going to see get phased out. This type of card is probably not going to be something that we'll see in future expansions, at least I hope not, but I've got a feeling they're thinking the same things we are, about that.
Yeah, it depends
yeah, go ahead.
It depends on what they want to do with the game. Like, it's not a problem, for example, to like ban the card. Like, if they get in-game tournaments, they can, for example, like exclude this card from the tournaments.
Oh, that's true. They could have a ban list for like tournament settings and things like that. But on the other hand, if you wanted to do something like balance Tinkmaster Overspark, change it so it wasn't quite as coin flippy. I mean, obviously, it is essentially a coin flip. It's a 50-50 chance of something happening, but what would be a way to possibly change it so that it would still be, useful, but yet wouldn't be
easy.
Quite so wild?
It's easy. You just get a Squirrel's Hour, which is a free, and that's it, like 100%. You play it, and you change something into a free Squirrel's Hour, which is a free, and that's it.
Okay.
So no randomness.
That sounds really good still. In fact, that's kind of fucking awesome still. That's
it's even better.
In fact, that might even be better. Like,
It's
Squirrelzaur. It's so good.
It's
You
kinda
the more
know,
I
like
think about
getting
that, like that would be so useful. That would never not be in a deck. It's like just straight up a 3/3. No,
It's like
that's not
everybody
right.
sort of gets Hex if you have something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one cheaper, but you get like a little bit stronger creature on the other side. So I don't know. It's interesting, but like I like that though. I mean, even though it would be a very good card, obviously, I kind of like that it's something predictable. You know, it's useful, but you don't have to worry about like what's going to happen. That's something that's out of your control. You know. Yeah, I really I'm a lot more okay with stuff like Avenging Wrath and Arcane Missiles than I am with something like, you know, Tinkmaster Overspark.
Oh yeah. Those cards are much better designed. Like you basically know what they're going to do. Every now and then they fuck up or go amazing, but it's not nearly like the 50-50ness of Tinkmaster is like silly. It's really
Yeah, because like the
Yeah.
outcome is a bit more predictable, and if you miss, like it's not like the outcome with the Thing Master is so far away, so it's either win or lose, and
Yeah. And then right after that, we have to buff Geblin Mechatork. Right?
the most useless legendary ever.
Well, I
that
don't know,
everyone uses at the low levels.
do any of you have the Tauren Chieftain card yet? The
Yeah, I
BlizzCon
have
one?
Got it.
Have you
No.
used it? Have you played
Someone
it? No.
used it
I don't
against
have it
me
either.
one
but
time in a Murloc deck and beat me.
I have not seen it yet.
Sick.
Like, I don't know. If it's out there, not a lot of people are using it, but
Well, it has sick effects, but that's it. Like the card
It
is
does.
useless, more or less.
I could see in the Murloc deck. Those
Well,
dirty
think about
Murloc
it.
users.
Like you can play it, you get a card, and then your
Yeah.
opponent gets a card, and he plays the card, and he randomly gets Current Bloodhoof for 2 mana, or like
Yep.
4 mana something, because he summons the Horde Warrior. So that's
And then
good
you
game,
get the-
right?
You get the 4 damage on him,
Pretty
and you're
much,
like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Well, then you just play Tinkmaster Overspark and turn it into a 1/1, right? And then you win the game. So
Probably.
the meta's evolving right before our eyes. It's a beautiful thing. So let's see. At this point, is there anything? I'm just going to throw it out there. I mean, we've got a few minutes left in the show here. So I know both of you came to me after the last show and they're like, "Oh, there's so much we want to talk about that wasn't said in the last show." Well, here's your chance. Like, what do you want to mention? Savjz, Gnimsh. Let's go Savjz first. Anything on your mind?
I don't like remember anymore what was the stuff we talked about earlier, but
Too long ago.
All right.
well, I have no idea. But I'll just give a shout out to Ice Block for still being in the game. I think
That's
I think
true.
everyone
Shout out to
hates
Ice
the
Block.
card. Like
Shout out
there's
to
been
Ice
like
Block, yep.
how many beta keys given at 1.5 million, and I think everyone who like plays against Ice Block hates the card. Like how can it still be in the game? Nobody likes it. Everybody hates it. Like
Well, I'm actually
Ice
okay
Block.
playing against Ice Block. You just have to deal a lot of damage and surprise the mage with explosion. That's it.
Ice Block.
Ice
That's
Block.
true.
All right.
Shout out to Ice Block.
Shout
Props
out to that
Ice
Ice
Block
Block.
for fucking just
Yeah.
ruining so many games.
Winning
Well,
so
actually-
many games too. I mean, I've won a lot of games off Ice Block. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I know
but-
you guys have too, so don't try to deny it.
Yeah, but
Well,
yeah, I
still-
play it myself, but I hate playing against it. Like
you know what I hate is playing my Ice Block decks against other mages' Ice Block decks, and they draw 2 Ice Blocks, and I only draw
Yeah,
1
I
Ice
do.
Block.
so one
That's
and they
bullshit,
two.
man.
Those
I hate
games
that.
are so good if you're playing a mirror match. If you're
Very
actually,
exciting.
but I'm like I'm not joking. Like if you're playing a mage versus mage mirror match, there is so much thought you have to put behind those matchups. Like to save your Ice Block to the last moment, like to get 2 in your hand, to like outdraw them, to deal that damage, to get them to 1 health, so that you can ping their Ice Block out. So there is a lot of back and forth going in those matchups. Like it's a very intense game, mage versus mage.
I will admit that I kind of like Ice Block. It's something that I think it's difficult to play around, but you can kind of play around it, and it is fun. Like I mean, going back to the whole like fun mechanic in Hearthstone, I feel like even though Ice Block is not fun to play against, it is fun enough to play that I kind of want to see it stick around. I don't know. I like it.
I think it's a good card for the mage flavor. That actually like conveys the meaning on how mage was in World of Warcraft.
Yeah. It does give you that World of Warcraft mage feeling, you know, and I do feel like it's important for, you know, you to have the feel of the World of Warcraft class in the game
Right.
of Hearthstone.
I think the card alone like breaks the game with mage against rogue and mage against summon matchups, because summon and rogue, there's no way they can, because you kind of have like turn 7 pyro, you can deal direct damage and they can't heal. There's no way, like mage is so hard of a counter to especially summon and rogue with ice block and pyro in the game, that there's not much that rogue can do.
I feel like
unless you like don't draw the stuff.
If you play a reasonable mage deck, I feel like Shaman and Rogue just have like almost 0%. Like,
yes,
yeah, I'll lose more than 1% of my games, but it feels like it's unstoppable. Like when I draw some of my burn spells, I'm like, oh, you can't stop this. There's like literally nothing you can do. What are you gonna do? Play 2 Earthen Ring Farseers? Is that gonna help you? No, that's not gonna do shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're done.
You know what they can do? They can actually get, because the problem with Iceblock is that you don't. The only class that has an answer is Hunter with Flare, and if they actually create a legendary that's available to everybody that counters Iceblock, that would be a good idea. Like to have something to clear the Iceblock, so that you have this. This is a sideboard card, like a bad card, but it clears Iceblock, so that you can counter the mage.
Yeah, why isn't there there's acidic swamp ooze to fuck with weapons? So why isn't there like some neutral minion that
Melting
can
Flame
fuck
minion.
with secrets? Because there's 3 classes with secrets. Why there are 4 classes with weapons, and it's like there should be something that you can be like, well, decks with secrets are really popular. Let me play this that can kill a secret or something like that.
What if they just made Ice Block silenceable? Obviously, that'd make the card a lot worse, but still.
That would be weird.
Would it
Yeah,
be
Silence
too
a
much?
secret? What does
Too
that
much?
even
No,
do?
I know. After
Like the
it's
secret
activated.
triggers,
No,
but
no,
nothing
wait, I'm saying-
happens?
No, I'm saying after it's activated, man. Obviously not before it happens, but when it happens, then you can silence it that turn.
Like silence the mage that has ice
like
block on them?
silence the effect off of the hero itself. Obviously not hit the secret, but yeah, make it silenceable.
Yeah, but that wouldn't work
clearable
on
with
other
silence.
secrets. It's like my...
No. Well,
Yeah.
we're not
I
talking
think-
about the We're not talking about secrets here, though. We're talking about just ice
okay.
block. Just ice block.
Another like silence mechanic or what? Because
Yeah,
if you-
just like what if I popped somebody's ice block? It was on them. They were
Oh, and you
invulnerable
can
or
silence
whatever.
after,
And then I
okay.
play my Iron Beak Owl and I silence it, and then I hit him for the rest of the damage.
I think there is too many cards with silence available to make it work. Like then
Yeah.
Iceblock will be just the worst card
Useless.
ever.
Yeah, I think
totally.
it has to be a creature with like battle cry, reveal all secrets or something like that.
Yeah.
Like 5 mana, 4/4, reveal a secret.
Yeah, for example, like lower stats but the good ability there. So,
All right. Good enough. Cool.
by the way, how did you guys like the 2013 in Hearthstone? A huge topic.
Oh yeah, it was. Well, it
Just
was
ended.
released. Everything from Hearthstone happened in that year, so I guess it was pretty good for Hearthstone. Yeah, it
Totally.
was a
great.
pretty positive year for Hearthstone.
Best year
Great.
so far for
Best year
Hearthstone.
Best
But
year
at
so
the
far.
same time, it was like kind of the worst year for Hearthstone as well, right?
Yeah,
You really
always.
wanted. Yeah.
I think Blizzard is off to a great start with this game. I think Hearthstone is a ton of fun, and it's been really fun to see the meta evolve and shift, and see all the decks kind of come and go. And I think this new ladder system that's just been implemented, just in the last month or two, has been fantastic. It's blown the meta wide open, and now it's completely fluid. So I don't know. I really, really like where Hearthstone is at and where it's going. And so I don't know. I think 2013 is great.
If we still have a little bit of time, I could talk about like the MMR thing in ladder
Do it.
right now.
We've got
Do it,
time
yeah,
to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
I think the like overall the 25 ranks and 10 the legend thing, it's amazing. Like I think it's a great system, but like the way how the MMR works right now, I think it's a joke. Like no matter how high or low you are in legend, you still get matched up against the exact same opponents, and then you just either lose or win more
Yeah.
or less. Like there's like this weird rubber band which is like pulling you from the low legend to the middle and pulling you from the high legend to the
Yeah.
middle. And
I
like-
think I know why. I was thinking about this because I know you guys were talking about it. I see it too, where you jump and fall like 1,000,000 ranks in 3 games. It's like
Yeah.
crazy, the swings.
Yeah.
And I think what this is a lot of people get good ranks and are sitting on them. So I think everyone's points are really close because everyone gets to about a certain level where it gets really fucking hard to keep going up.
Yeah.
And I think they stop because I'm always hitting like the same exact players. Basically, there's very few. Like a few people are brave and keep playing when they get high up, but I think a lot of people are sitting on ranks. That's my theory for it. I think
It's
that's
true, and
why
also-
it's so crazy.
Yeah, and I was talking with the Blizzard guy, and he said that there was probably like a lot of people who had just joined the league, and because like in the last few days there has been like huge increase in the amount of players in Legend. I think the amount has like doubled. So there was like this people who like just entered the Legend. They are at like rank 50 or so. That is just an example. But like they might take a break from playing. Like I just got to Legend. Like I'll just sit here for a while.
I'm done.
So
That's
there was
the
like so there was like 50 of those people. So there was like when you lose one game, you drop 50 ranks. But also, like about the ranking thing, I would really like want to have longer queue times and just get matched up against people with similar elo than myself, because I've noticed that at the top, like it's not that you win over 50% to get rank 2. You actually have to win like 3 games, and when you lose one, then you break even. So you have to win more than 75% of your games to progress at the top 10 or so. So it's like I wish that the matchmaking took like longer time and gave like opponents with higher elo, so I could like kind of like keep climbing with that 3-1, or maybe like 3 wins and 2 losses would be what would keep me even. Like if I was matched up against players with same elo, that's how it would go. But now I get like so far lower elo that it's just in a card game. It's really tough.
One thing I do have to say, and I don't know how many people are gonna know what the fuck I'm talking about, but we had this ladder that was not made by Blizzard in StarCraft 1 called Icy Cup, and it was like based off PG Tour and stuff like that. And basically, it was like mostly elo, but when you instead of just having a number of your rank, it was like into categories like A ranks, B ranks, C ranks, etc. And the higher ranks you got, the more your losses hurt. And like at some ranks it's 50-50. Like if you win or lose, you gain and lose the same amount. Or maybe even it's more favorable lower on. But as you get up like really high toward like what you're talking about here, like towards the top 10 ranks or something, like what if that was called something else where it's like, well, now motherfucker, you got to win every game because you're going to lose like twice as much or something. Like if they had it where it was obviously like that, as opposed to where it is like that because people are sitting on it and you're playing people way lower elo, I think that would be healthier. If I don't know if you understand what I'm saying here, but anyways, I'll be quiet now.
I actually lost you. Can you please repeat the last
Yeah,
part?
I lost you too.
Okay, so basically when you get up that high, if the very highest people aren't also playing, and the thing is I think they look at it and say, why would I? Because they're right up at the top, and they're like, well, I mean, I'm at the top. No one's going to pass me because you lose one game to a Warlock that's ranked 50 and you're fucked and you're never coming back. And that'll happen. The thing is, that's just you getting shitty matches and you just have to get lucky and go on a 6 streak to keep on going up. Now, if they remade it so it was more of a bucket system where like at the top, it's going to be harder to win. But you're matched against those people that are at the top. But if you lose, you lose more points, like that type of thing. Like a more bucketed system within the ranks, within the legendary ranks, might be a smart move, maybe.
I think it might be hard right now because like there's not enough people probably. That's why we are being matched against different people. And what Savjz was saying, like you have to win those 3 games, and it's even out if you lose one. But we are talking about the top of the region. Like Savjz was what? You were 4th in Europe at the time when you were playing that. You were trying to get the 1st place, and it was hard because you had to win a lot of games. But you were 4th in Europe. So if like people are in the top 100, it's okay to like. It's not a problem to get to top 10 if you're 100. Probably. I mean, for us at least. But
I was legend. I was rank 2, and then I went 11 wins and 4 losses, and I actually dropped 1 rank.
Yeah, but we are talking about like top 5 in Europe. So when you get more players, it will probably even out. Like, And I
Yeah.
had this crazy ride one night when I was 8th, and then I started playing, and in 2 hours I dropped to 103rd, and then I had to climb up again to the 8th position in Europe, like in 3 hours. So, and it was possible, it was doable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a crazy lose streak first, and then I had a crazy win streak after that. So
Interesting. Cool.
the problem is probably that you can farm people. That's bad.
Yeah,
Because
I agree.
if you get like people want to play, they lose against you and they click play again. And if you have a good matchup and it's like late in the night, there is not enough people. Like you can get the same guy all the time, and you have
Yeah.
a favorable matchups. You actually farm him. He's going down on rank, you're going up. So
Yeah, during nighttime you can easily queue up like 5 times. Well, at least 4 times. I remember like queuing into the same guy like repeatedly, and sometimes I've even like switched to a rock if he's playing scissors or so. Like in the middle of the set,
Yeah.
I know that I will get him again. So
yeah.
it kind of rewards smart decisions, but I don't like playing against the same guy so many times in a row. I don't think it's cool.
Yeah,
it's
I
probably
think
frustrating for him. Yeah.
I think you're right though, where it's gonna probably change as more people kind of get into the game. We're obviously gonna see a big influx of people over the next 6 months or something like that as the game gets closer. But that should clean things up quite nicely. But I don't have to worry about this stuff because I'm not in Legendary, so hooray. Lucky me. So I think that's going to be about it for the show this week. And so it's time for shout-outs. Obviously, shout-out to Ice Block before everything else. But besides Ice Block, Gnimsh, who do you want to shout out then?
Well, my shout-out goes obviously to the Doggy House team. So Savjz, Artosis here, and also Nyx and Acop. Also, I'd like to mention that we were talking about the Strife Crow Druid a lot, so big shout out to Strife Crow for designing the deck. And I actually reviewed this deck, and my review will be live today on iHeartYou.com. So check it out for sure. And also, if you would like to watch more content and see what I have to say, follow me on Twitter, YouTube, and watch me on Twitch.
Alright, Savages.
Well, Gnimsh kind of already said the same stuff that I would have, but I'll just add that I'm gonna stream a lot in January and in the future, so check out my stream. That's all.
Alright.
Twitch.tv/Savjz.
Alright, Artosis.
Cheers to Della, wonderful host. I would say co-host, but you do more hosting than me on this show for sure. And Simpatico for running the show, and these guys for showing up in Doggy House, and all the wonderful people out there that watched. I hope you enjoyed. We have the show match coming up next, the King of the Hill between Savjz and Trump. Going to be pretty sick. You're going to enjoy it. And cheers to my sponsors, TT Sports and iBuyPower. So I think that's probably it. Oh yeah, and I think next week, starting on Monday, ESPN is going to air the Hearthstone tournament. So definitely everyone has to watch. It's going to be awesome, for sure.
Finally. It's going to be great.
So excited.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks to Simon for running the show as always. And yeah, definitely stick around, guys, and watch the King of the Hill. Right after this, visit iHeartYou for all your Hearthstone needs. And that's about it. So we're going to end the show here. But again, don't go anywhere, guys. King of the Hill coming right up after this. But that's it for Turn 2 this week. We'll see you next week with more discussion. Later.